I don't know if you managed to see the presidential election in America, the debate, but it was shocking. And my only takeaway from that is who exactly is currently running the free world. Because if that's what was on evidence yesterday, then, man, we are screwed.
Contributions with net captain, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look.
So this is my video essay number 6, and I read a lot of stuff and I see many opinions on China, like is China collapsing, and I also read commentary and opinions on the collapse of the UK, Europe, and now I'm seeing conversations about the collapse of the U.S.A. And is the U.S.A. collapsing? After the debate the other night exposed some truth, I'm not sure, but I can understand why people say it. I do often have to correct myself though, because much of this everything is collapsing storyline is just that. It's a story, an opinion, clickbait, and it sits on top of a person or a media channel's political agenda of sorts. However, one thing did catch my eye the other day, and that was this question: is the idea of the American dream over? And to be honest, I don't think it is. It is still the place where you can come from nothing and go on to be something. But, and this is very key for me, that idea, that ability to make something of yourself is not just exclusive to the USA. Even if you think it is, it doesn't make it so. You can achieve a lot in many other countries through hard work, having a great business idea, rolling a dice and the ability to navigate the rules of that country. You might just get lucky and strike a jackpot of sorts. So it's not just exclusive to America. You could be one of the people in any city, any place, any country, to come from nothing, to go on and then to be something. It's also very difficult to be that select few. It's not that easy. Sure, you can get to America, work hard, make a living, possibly become rich, but there are a whole lot of obstacles and costs that are going to get in your way. But for many, that opportunity, that chance to chase the American dream is worth that gamble. And I understand that, because that idea to just go for it, go all in, and you too can be one of these lucky ones, is a hell of an appealing idea. It's a very appealing idea to many people. And people are hardwired to think that it could happen to them. People, I think, always believe the positive might happen at a greater chance than say the bad thing. Hence, I think, why people gamble, even though we know that the house always wins and the game is always rigged. I've been recently thinking about what happens during a global conflict, even a nuclear war, and I honestly think that most people believe that they would survive a nuclear war. Somehow, in their mind, they will be survivors and go on to successfully navigate the Hollywood-like apocalypse that is left behind. And I would suggest the other alternative, that you, your family, everything that you know would be burnt to a cinder. Hence why you, me, we should never be on social media egging on the rich man's war. People are talking here, cleaners are cleaning up after a big storm last night here in Beijing. I'm going to move location. Stick with me because I want to continue this. So it's getting hot here in Beijing, finding a little bit of shade. For me, the ideology of the American dream was always a piece of incredible propaganda. But don't get me wrong, I also fell for it hook, line and sinker. I also, in my younger days, wanted to get to America and chase that dream way back in the day. Why not? The propaganda about the American dream is so compelling. It is like a get rich quick scheme, the ones that you see on the internet and magazines and so on. You know the ones that they talk about, do this for a month and you can earn $100,000 You too can earn six-figure sums by following these 5 basic rules of life. Become a millionaire instantly by joining this exclusive training, blah, blah, blah. Even the other stuff that I'm seeing. Learn to trade crypto and be wealthy beyond your wildest dreams. Send me this money and you can learn to... Remember NFTs? Whatever happened to them? Anyway, it's almost religious in the way that the propaganda is delivered. One thing I have learned from the get-rich-quick schemes is the person that is selling you the scheme or the get-rich-quick course, that person, he or she, in my view, is the only person that is getting wealthy from that course. The American dream, so appealing to many for obvious reasons, that dream, if you think about it, is what's pulling people into America and even the UK and so beyond. If you're living in poverty because your country has problems with drugs, violence, a lack of opportunity, political sanctions, or you're having to flee for a better life, maybe you've done something wrong, you can absolutely see why the American dream is so appealing. It is marketed incredibly well via media, glossy magazines, movies, Hollywood, television, you name it. And you wonder why people are pouring over the borders or risking a cross-channel crossing into the UK in a small boat. It's the same thing for me. Their country has been hammered by whatever, so they see the opportunity in the UK, U.S.A. or whatever. To be honest, why wouldn't you chance it? You sold the dream well. The UK, US, the West, we sold that dream well, so people will take that gamble. In the current political situation, it looks like to me, immigration, the border walls, people in small boats crossing the English Channel, people who are chasing for a new life. What we sold really, very, very well, really well, that American dream of sorts, or the UK equivalent, that is going to be a big feature in the American and Western general elections, and beyond. I don't think it's going to stop just at the end of the election. Anyway, I soldier on. It's getting so hot now. Anyway, Biden v Trump. So, absolutely car crash. Definitely a car crash. In the UK, Sunak versus Starmer. Scraping the barrel there with that as well, as far as I'm aware. Sunak versus Starmer actually, to me, looks like it's a done deal in the UK, with the Labour Party wiping the floor with the Tories, who have run the UK into the ground. And I have to add, it looks like they made themselves a lot of money, and also their mates a lot of money in doing that whole running the UK into the ground. So I actually think Sunak has been told to throw the election, because no one can be this bad at running a political campaign. Definitely, I mean, a high school class election campaign could be run, and it's probably run better than the current Tory party campaign. I honestly think it is about handing over the baton to the next guy, sponsored by the establishment, the next guy being Keir Starmer, the Labour Party. Yeah, the Labour Party. Calling it that is actually quite laughable. And you can see this actually from the policies, because I don't believe that much will change, but people will fall for it. The party of change, apparently. Give me a break. Nothing changes. Two cheeks of the same arse, as a very famous person once said. At least in Scotland we have an alternative option, and I really do hope the Scottish SNP win another massive, overwhelming majority, and that Scotland can maybe go its own way. But that dream is fading because of the mess of the overall UK situation and how propagandised the Scottish people are with the establishment media working against them, working against the dream of self-determination. And I'll come back to the media thing in a second. It's getting hot here. You see building work behind me. But the Trump and Biden election would be an interesting situation if it weren't so terrifying for us all. In a country of 350 million people, and all they can come up with are two elderly gentlemen as the main candidates. After this, if it goes to Biden and Trump and they do go head to head in the final election, then I think after that the USA are going to have to go through a whole changing of the old guard after the next president's 4 years in office. But again, it will result in the usual two cheeks of the same arse option for the USA too. Trump v Biden. What as I heard the other day, the hell no and the oh no. That's the way the people are talking about it. And in my opinion, one of them is a tad unpredictable and the other is and has always been focused on global conflict. And with that debate, he has got age clearly catching up with him, that person who likes the global conflict. And you can fill in the names under each heading as you see fit and how your own politics land. The one thing I do take from watching Biden shuffle along is that I've got about 25 years left before that's me, so I better make most of the life now. Old age is a funny thing and I do fear it in a way. Do you? You also get the feeling that maybe both presidential candidates do represent the establishment in a certain way. And before you cry out about Trump being a man of the people, I think you have to remember his main policy success was about large tax breaks for the wealthy. And guess what? He is one of the wealthy. Like our own Trump version in the UK, Nigel Farage, he's also wealthy establishment. I've looked into his history in detail. Trust me, he's a con man. But the media on the one side would have you think otherwise. Trump, Farage, a man of the people. Give me a break. Anyway, it's hot here. Melting. Not used to this. I'll be back in a second. Change location. So back to the media. This media, Western media, is super powerful in shaping people's opinion, and yet people would say they select their own political choice of their own free will. And I'm not sure most people select, I think, based on a habit or an allegiance to a party based on parenting or peer groups, or you select in order to protect your social standing or your wealth. People are most often coming to voting and the political system usually coming from what's in it for me mindset. Very few people are actually open to voting for the good of the country. So much for patriotism and American dream. With the majority of people, in particular in the US, it's often every man for themselves. So the wealthy owners of the media will play on your worst fears. To a certain extent, they are bound by legislation. The news media, the mainstream media, if they screw up, they can be held liable, in theory. But you do need a ton of money if you did want to fight them in court because they printed something wrongful or wrongfully about you. However, these days, 75% of the people get their news and the political information from the social media, and that is where the fun and chaos is. The reason for that shift is because the mainstream media, they've diminished their standing and broken the trust in the eyes of the public because they are being exposed as a voice for the few, for the wealthy, a voice for the elites. People have understood that and they've started to shift to social media, and now 75% apparently get that information from there. But I think that's very scary because just like mainstream media, social media, the websites and platforms, they're owned by a select few, and no matter what they claim, they're not impartial and they are guided and controlled by vested interests, moneyed interests. And you've got to ask yourself, do you think they do it all for the goodness of their hearts? Of course not. It's a business. America, the country, is a business, and most of the social media that's in the English-speaking world is in America. So keep you in the matrix, they will do, and they will keep enforcing and allowing you to swallow that message. And I think the whole thing is set in a way to keep everyone on edge. The American dream, life on the edge, and stress and anxiety comes free as part of that whole package. It's good for business. Interestingly, unlike the mainstream media, the social media owners, they cannot be held liable for things that they allow on their websites or their platforms because of something called Section 230, which means they are not the publishers of the content, and so they cannot be held responsible for what is published on their platforms. You can never take them to court. You can never sue them. Hence why anyone can say anything on these social media sites and get away with it, no consequences. It's like the Wild West, freedom of speech. You're allowed to say what you want, protected by your First Amendment rights, the good old American dream. That is, until the social media chaos comes for you. Then it's a whole different story. Then it's a nightmare, an American nightmare. Got to change locations. Stick with me. I must be sitting in one of the smallest seats I've ever sat in. A camp seat, very small. Anyway, it's different here in China. There's not so much media chaos, it's calm. I do understand that in China, information is monitored and controlled. And if you're honest with yourself, then that is just like all other countries. And if you think otherwise, then you're kidding yourself on. The difference here is it's controlled to keep society respectful and calm. The output from that is that I can see that the society here in China is peaceful minded and there is a togetherness. The news reporting here is balanced, it's less sensationalized, and it's strong on recognizing the success of the country. Now, I'm not naive. Social media is very vocal here, and I get that. There are deeper roots and cultural impacts that cause that alignment, but social media is active. But it kind of somehow works to help the social cohesion of China. And I'm not sure someone maybe with more knowledge of China than me can explain why that is the case, maybe mention in the comment box below. But I do find, and compared to the West, where the media, the news and the media reports are all designed to keep you angry, on edge, and actually hating someone else, usually the person next to you, rather than looking up to the upper classes, elites and the wealthy. But yeah, the media here is much more calm and peaceful in comparison to that. And this gives light to one of my own personal dilemmas, having lived here in China, and that is this idea of freedom of speech. You know, the one that underpins the American dream, that unchecked freedom of speech, much like the unchecked capitalism. This, in my opinion, is what's pulling America apart. I believe in free speech, but it has its downsides. And it's what we see now in America, a terribly divided country, both politically and across the wealth divide. It does feel like it's getting more and more polarised by that every week. And that worries me, and it should worry us all actually. The other week I watched that movie called Civil War, set in America, Americans fighting Americans. Is that far off? I don't know, you tell me. Is it? Could that happen? And if so, who would control what? What would happen to the nuclear weapons, etc.? Remember, America is a country of extremes. What would be the most extreme outcome? And then maybe double that. Would that be the final nail in the coffin of the American dream? I'm not sure. I don't have an answer for you. I have a beer. But I do have a wish. And that is that America somehow finds its way to become a more stable, less threatening to the rest of the world, and somehow I hope that America finds a moral compass. But then again, I'm not holding my breath on that. For you, take care. This is me, Ian, in Beijing. Wishing you all the best. Take care of yourself, your family, and as always, look after your community also. Peace out. Catch you soon.